Clinton used Saturday's Columbine High School shooting memorial, ready for this, to call for stricter gun control laws. Dr. John Lott of the Crime Prevention Research Center, the smartest person I know on the effect of guns on society, explains why banning guns, Bill Clinton, will not solve this problem. He's here next. Former President Bill Clinton has jumped headfirst back into the gun control debate. In a Denver Post op-ed marking 20 years since the Columbine High School shooting, Clinton wrote about his experience as president during the tragedy while calling for stricter gun legislation. He went on to say, quote, "American schools and churches had been transformed into war zones of automatic weapons and explosives. It's still happening, but it does not have to be this way." Clinton's calls for gun control come ahead of President Trump's scheduled third appearance at the annual NRA convention this weekend. President Trump has been a staunch gun rights advocate, even calling for arming teachers to prevent mass shootings like at Columbine. So while attempting to take guns away from people, prevent school shootings, here to discuss Crime Prevention Research Center and my friend, John Lott. John, I mean, when will the liberals learn that when guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns? I know that's trite. I know it's a bumper sticker, and I know it's a one-liner, but it happens to be true.
Look, terrorists, criminals want to go to places where victims can't defend themselves. You know, it doesn't take rocket science to know if they can go and accomplish their job more easily, that's the place that they're going to go and do it. You know, President Clinton's proposals seem to be things that make it costly, particularly for poor people, particularly for minorities to go and own guns. He was pushing these universal background checks in his op-ed, these background checks on private transfers of guns. But the thing is, there's not one mass public shooting this century that would have been stopped if such a regulation had been in effect.
On the other hand, isn't it true, John, that virtually all the mass shootings in this century would have been stopped sooner had someone been there who was armed and trained to use the arm?
No, that's exactly right. Look, I can give you dozens of cases in just the last few years where mass public shootings have been stopped by people with concealed handgun permits. You know, the important thing is to get somebody there quickly on the scene to be able to go and stop these types of attacks. The thing is when civilians with guns stop these attacks, they get virtually no news coverage.
Right.
So hardly any news coverage outside the local area that was there. My guess is the whole debate would be dramatically different if they did. But, you know, you referred to President Trump as a gun rights person. The way I like to view it is he's a violence prevention person. You know, the question is, what's the best way to go and try to do this? And it bothers me a lot that somehow people on the left are described as, you know, against violence, but people on the right are in favor of gun rights. The reason why you want people to own guns isn't because you have some fetish about guns. It's because you want to make sure that people are able to protect themselves, prevent violence.
Boy, how I wish the left and the editorialists and the people that move the dial on public opinion could accept that. John Lott, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And
Great talking to you.
Pleasure. And we will be right back.